everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. It has been about 24 hours since Inter Miami played Nashville SC in the opening game of their CONCACAF Champions Cup run. First leg in Nashville, 0-0 draw, and oh boy, I did rewatch the game. I came away with very little that I wanted to talk about, and so I am going to defer to you for your thoughts on the game, and maybe we can bounce off each other for a while. We will give out awards as always, and maybe some bigger picture talk throughout that I think maybe is where I'm going to come in. So that's how I'm feeling. Saur, my friend, my co-host, what's up, man?
I haven't had the time to talk about I haven't had the time to rewatch the game, so I think my analysis will pretty much be the same as yours because the highlights encapsulated exactly what happened in that game. Bit of a dud because we hyped this game up quite a bit. We hyped the opponent up quite a bit. Inter Miami did not perform to that level. I think Nashville also fell short of their level and their fans would be a little bit disappointed. But as always, we will go through all of the stuff, hand out some awards, some positives, maybe a few negatives. But it's our job to break this game down. That's what we do here. And I look forward to it.
No update on Maxi Falcone. He got hurt in the fifth minute of this game, left the game in the 7th minute. He got stepped on when he had an internally rotated knee, and I'm not sure if he had any structural damage. It did not look like it felt good, but he went up for to head a clear a ball that was crossed into the box. He does, and as he lands, his knees internally rotate a little bit, and he gets landed on by the Nashville attacker. So. Hopefully he's okay, but we have not got an update on him so far. And then there's nothing else going on around Inter Miami. I mean, it's only been a couple days, but like everyone is focused on this tournament. The team is focused on this tournament. The team has been put together. They're done in the transfer window, so it's a matter of going out and winning, and that's what they're going to have to do next Wednesday night. So that's basically, to me, the big picture. Okay, in my head, these tournaments are inflection points for the whole season. It is not about how good you are in those moments. It's about, are you prepared to be your best in those moments and give it your best shot. And all the MLS games we have, sure, they accumulate, and you want to be home field advantage in the playoffs, and you want to win the supporter shield and all that stuff. But from week to week, it is about perfecting who you are as a team so that when you get to these moments, you're at your absolute best and you're prepared to win the trophies that you assembled this team to win. And so I am sort of stuck where I watched the game, you know, some players played well, and we'll talk about that. Other players I was not as impressed with. And it's like, but I'm viewing it through this lens of this is what this whole season's about. And it feels like there's not much to talk about in that sense. And so I am sort of not sure exactly what to say about this. Maybe you can guide me on what you think is the best way to approach this.
I think there are a couple of ways in which we can do this. There's analyzing the game for the individual game itself. What was the game about? What were the tactics employed? How Inter Miami approached this? What Javier Mascherano put out on the pitch? What the pros and cons of our tactics were? How we matched up against Nashville? The footballing analytical aspect, I think, individually for this game is something we can talk about. And then I think there's a broader conversation about how this fits into the grand scheme of things, the strategy that is this Inter Miami team wants to employ for the rest of the season, what this means for the game going into Wednesday, how Inter Miami will approach this, and what our feelings are and thoughts are about the way Inter Miami's season has started off. So I think if we start with the granular and then look at the bigger picture, it will probably do justice to the game itself at hand, and then we can perhaps add some more color and context to that as we talk about the broader picture and zoom out a little bit. Does that sound like a good plan to you? Does that sound like something we can maybe do in this episode? Otherwise, I can suggest a different strategy.
It sounds like our normal pathway through a game recap. So let's get to the game recap because it will be short. Fifth minute, Maxi Falcone goes down. He gets stepped on, has to come out of the game. Gonzalo Lujan goes in. And then it got real quiet. 42nd minute, Dayne St. Clair had a really nice save on a Sam Surge shot. He had a couple really big saves in this game. None of them were sort of magical in the sense of, I can't believe a human being physically pulled that off, but they were timely and important, and they were moments Nashville was about to grab momentum, and Dayne St. Clair rejected them. So, like, important moments nonetheless. In the second half, 51st minute, there was a Berterame challenge that I think he probably should have gotten a red card for, if I'm being totally honest. He gets a yellow, and Rami lucky to get away with that, if I'm being totally honest. And then the 57th minute is the big one. Segovia gets the ball in midfield, and he just slides it through perfectly to Lionel Messi, who is trying to beat his man down that right side. And he does get a shot off. It's saved by Brian Schwake, and it is parried right back into the danger zone of the penalty box. And guess who is on it for the chance to be the hero and establish himself as an Inter Miami superstar? Herman Berterame, who doesn't get there in time. I think there's a slight deflection on a slide tackle by the defender. It is sort of ricocheted out of bounds, not given a corner because the referee thought it was just a missed shot. And that was sort of the big moment for Inter Miami. They have some positive momentum at certain points, but I also thought in order to gain that, they sort of allowed Nashville to hit and transition a couple times. Nashville not able to... I didn't think any of Nashville's chances were all that great either, if I'm being honest. They have 3 shots inside the box that they just missed the target, but none of them were guys in momentum that were going to just power it past Dayne St. Clair. They were going to really have to place it well if they were going to beat Dayne St. Clair. And so collectively, there was 5 or 6 moments that I think if you're a Nashville fan, you think one of those should be a goal, but I don't think any of them in particular were the one you would say is we had to have that. I do think Berterame's opportunity was probably the best moment overall for either team. And that's it, man. It was a 0-0 game. There just wasn't much to talk about in this 90 minutes in terms of like key moments that changed everything.
I had 3 positives for Inter Miami from this game, but before that, I just want to talk about Nashville and Inter Miami for a second and what they did on the pitch. I think both teams quality-wise were poor and they would be disappointed in their performance. I think you said it yesterday in the pre-game show or post-game reaction, where you mentioned that they looked scared. Both teams were afraid to lose this game rather than fearless to go out and win it. I think that was the reason we saw a quite boring game that was cagey, not a lot of clear-cut chances, not a lot of momentum or pressure. It almost felt like when Nashville was at the top, they took the foot off the gas, and then Inter Miami was able to take the momentum from them. When Inter Miami had some momentum for like 5 minutes, Nashville took it back. So it was a bit of a back and forth, very cagey. Both teams just trying to poke and prod, but nobody was willing to stab and cut through. Nashville overall, I thought, was a better team than Inter Miami. Their approach play was better. Their ability to construct the patterns of play were a lot better. They looked like their front line was flowing with chemistry. I think they had a couple of opportunities where you can say their players should have done better, maybe at least hit the target. But even then, it didn't seem like they were throwing the kitchen sink at Inter Miami. It didn't seem inevitable that they were going to score. But they definitely did more to win this game than Inter Miami did. I think when I watched the highlights, there was only one moment that Inter Miami actually threatened the goal truly. Well, 2, because it was the same moment where Messi shoots, gets saved, comes into the path of Berterame, who should have done better. I know we can probably justify it by saying that it got deflection and went out, but he still should have done better. The goal was gaping out there. And I agree with you that was probably the best moment for both teams on the pitch. So I did think Inter Miami was poor, but I also think Nashville did not necessarily bring their A game, which worked in our favor. So that leads me into the 3 positives that come out of this game. First of all, 0-0. Thank God. This on any other day, if Nashville was on top of their game, they could have finished the entire tie off in this game. If they had a couple of opportunities that they put on target, maybe Dayne St. Clair was not as reactionary and as quick on his feet. This could have been a very easy night for Nashville. So 0-0, you can take the positives away from there. It wasn't a disaster. Let's just say that. I don't think it was the ideal outcome for Inter Miami, but it was not a disaster. Second positive for me was the fact that Dayne St. Clair actually showed up. This was the player that we bought. I don't think he was phenomenal or exceptional. He didn't need to be, but he made the saves that were necessary and honestly looked like a player who was confident. It felt like it was his night and he wasn't going to let any easy goals get through. Nashville had to be 110% to get the ball past him, and that didn't happen. And my third and final positive, maybe it's a bit of a stretch, is Inter Miami still playing away from home. We didn't lose this game away from home. Our next game is going to be our first game at home at Chase Stadium. It's going to have the fans behind us. The energy is going to be different. And maybe, just maybe, and I'm probably grasping at straws at this point, but I think this game will be different on Wednesday when we're at home against a crowd that hasn't seen their team play this season so far, hasn't seen all the new signings play together so far. So maybe that spurs something in this team that just kicks off our season, because at this point it almost feels like we're playing on the first or the second gear and we need like a shock to just kickstart our season. It hasn't begun for me yet. Those were my three positives, and honestly that's all I have on this game. Over to you.
I know we're going to give out some awards and have some conversations that I think are important to have. So I guess I'm going to save some of my conversations until then. If they win next week 3-0, this doesn't matter. Like it's fine. This was fine. It's just in this moment, 24 hours after a 0-0 draw, I don't think and what we've seen so far this season, the lack of chemistry in attack and all that stuff. Like I don't think we are expecting them to explode against Charlotte and just be on this tear for the rest of the tournament until the World Cup. Like I think we are a little nervous, maybe even not about Nashville at home next week, but like how good is this team really? And I think that's, at least in this, like how good are they right now? Not necessarily what they'll be in 3 months, but what they are right now. And so you want to see something against Nashville, and I don't think we saw that. And again, if you go in 3-0 next week, none of this matters. So I get that, and I don't want to be too critical because that is the case. I think they're going to win next week, and because I think they're going to win next week, I actually don't. Like I'm struggling to find importance in this game. I really am. And that's unfortunate because it is an important game.
The only one caveat I do want to add to that is, and I think you've alluded to this a little bit, I sort of understood why you were so afraid or scared or fearful of Nashville, or at least pessimistic about Inter Miami's ability to win this game. Because at this point, I don't think it's about the opposition as much as it's about Inter Miami. We haven't seen what this team looks like when it's playing good football. The only patch of good football I've seen from this team over 4 games is the 45 minutes against Orlando. And let's be honest, Orlando is really, really bad. So for us to sit here and say that this Inter Miami team has the ability to actually win this tournament, it's difficult because we haven't actually seen our team perform well. And that for me is a big takeaway from this game. It was an important game away from home, yes, against a big opposition, but we didn't turn up. And right now we're just hoping and sitting on our hands, waiting for this team to turn up. How long will it take for them to actually make things click? That's my biggest question. And I'm not sure, and maybe I'm not as confident as you are that we're going to win next week. How do we look against Charlotte? Hopefully slightly better. We constantly said this team has incrementally grown into its own. I thought the DC game wasn't as bad. I saw some good positives there, but I thought this game against Nashville was a bit of a step back. There was an opportunity to go out and win against this Nashville team who didn't particularly perform well. I know we got the draw, but I genuinely think we could have beaten them if we were at our best and maybe even ended the tie ourselves if this team had actually figured out how to play with each other. So maybe we are ruining a lost opportunity here. But then again, it's about the ifs, buts, and maybes. That didn't happen. And in the current form, I'm not very confident of this Inter Miami team. That's just how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sure this sounds terrible. I didn't think. Yeah, I agree with you. Nashville, I didn't think showed up in the way that they need to, especially Hani Mukhtar. I thought, especially on rewatch, he was really disappointing for them. On the flip side, I thought their defense really showed up, and I thought Inter Miami's defense really showed up. Waladsky, who's their center back, had a hell of a game. And I thought Inter Miami's defense also had some standout performers that, again, we'll talk about with awards. Can we go big picture now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Sorry, before we do, just staying, last thing. Substitutions were Lujan coming in when Falcone went out. Lujan was fine. Probably not the decision I would have made. I would have brought Ian Frey on and either moved Noah Allen to center back and had Micael and Allen play center back, or put Ian Frey at center back. But Lujan did, I think, fine. So again, once we learn what Maxi Falcone's situation is, maybe we'll have more on that conversation. But like I don't have much to say about that. The other substitution I think is more interesting. He takes off Facundo Mura and he puts on Ian Frey, and he takes off Talasco Segovia and he puts on Matteo Silvetti. On the one hand, I really like that Frey came on. I didn't think that substitution necessarily had to happen, even though I thought it was a good one. Sorry, when I say it didn't have to happen, I mean, I don't think Mascherano thought I have no choice but to play Ian Frey. I think he was trying to adapt to the situation. And I thought Silvetti was really important to come into this game as a guy that could spark something offensively, and I thought we did look better when he came on. But he came on for Segovia, who was, I thought at that point, our best player going forward, bar none. And I thought taking them off at the same time, like replacing one with the other, actually didn't give you enough of an offensive oomph to really get you over the line. So I guess that's my last criticism of this game, but it worked. 0-0 draw. I don't know. What'd you think?
The approach itself from the start was maybe not the right one, but this is what you're going to get from Javier Mascherano, right? I said it in the pregame show. The reason we got this lineup is not because we're playing Nashville. The reason we got this lineup is because that's who Javier Mascherano is. His predisposition is to play that 4-4-2 that's slightly more conservative, doesn't allow this Inter Miami team to be as expansive as they want to be. And that's going to pose its own set of problems. A lot of the times we're able to overcome that, but because our offense is not clicking right now, we're not able to overcome that. And we said it in the preseason, we're probably going to see the 4-4-2, and this team is probably going to win a lot of those games despite the 4-4-2. But I think we're at this point where this team is not winning these games despite the 4-4-2 because we're not clicking into gear. So that was my initial criticism. I would have not brought on Lujan, but that's not a knock on Lujan's performance yesterday. We will talk about a little bit more in the awards about Lujan's performance and generally the back line. But I would have probably put Frey on as well, moved Noah Allen to centre back. And I think that gives you a lot more adventure on both sides of the pitch, both wide areas. And then again, I wouldn't have brought off Talasco Segovia either. I thought he was disappointed coming off as well. He didn't look particularly happy. And it's interesting because in moments where you want to connect, keep the hold of the ball, allow your front line to explode a little bit more, you need that conduit between the midfield and Messi and then your wide players. And I think Segovia offers that perfect conduit. But Silvetti coming on was important, so that's fine. I just think there were issues in the game plan, but we didn't lose the game. So I guess you can maybe not knock it as much as you would like.
Okay. Big picture. This is a tournament they've bet everything on. Like again, if they don't win next weekend, And again, a draw will either a 0-0 draw will see them go to penalties, and if it's any other draw, that will see Nashville through on away goals. So Inter Miami has to win next week, next Wednesday at home. There will be very uncomfortable conversations about this roster design and everything if that doesn't go their way, and if this team doesn't make a deep run in this tournament. Like, they bet a lot on this run, and if it ends after 2 games, it will be really tough to swallow. Have to win this game. Absolutely have to win this game. False 9 Messi, no Berterame.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
What do you think?
False 9 Messi, no Berterame, Allende, Silvetti, both on the pitch, Segovia, Rodrigo de Paul, Yannick Bright, 3-man midfield, and then put whoever you want in the back line because that's going to score you at least 3-4 goals. You have to win. There are going to be so many uncomfortable conversations. I know we say that the season's going to be over. We're not going to care about it because we're out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Yes, maybe for 2 weeks, but we're fans. We're going to be back supporting this team no matter what. But it would be so disappointing to go out in the first round of the CONCACAF Champions Cup that you play against an MLS team where you have all the opportunity to go out and win it. I don't know if that's going to happen on Wednesday or not. I hope it doesn't happen. And maybe we shouldn't be thinking about the negatives, but that's where we are now. After this game yesterday, the fact that this was 0-0, anything can happen on Wednesday. You have one poor tackle and somebody gets a red card, one injury, like anything could happen that could take it away from you. And yesterday was a chance to maybe take control of the narrative a little bit and get ahead of the crisis. Now we're in crisis mode, so now you have to show up and perform. No excuses.
False 9 Messi. What do you think?
False 9 Messi. Absolutely.
It's not working with Berterame. Like, it's just not working. And that's not to say it won't work. That's not to say he won't be fantastic.
But there's no time, right?
It doesn't mean he won't score 40 goals this year. Like, I think all of those things are at least on the table. 40 seems ambitious at this point, I'll be honest. But like, he could be a fantastic signing, but he's not been a fantastic signing right now. Does going false 9 Messi with both Silvetti and Allende and Segovia on the pitch provide you the best chance to win next Wednesday night? I was talking about this yesterday. Like, Berterame was giving you less last night than what Suarez would give you right now, or was giving you last year, and maybe right now. And I'm not suggesting you put Suarez on the starting 11. I'm saying false 9 Messi with both Silvetti and Allende on the pitch. It's the best we've looked over Mascherano's entire era. It's been that formation lineup, substituting in Segovia for Baltasar Rodriguez, but your attack has what you want. Like, I don't think I think this game is too important to still be playing with Berterame and trying to get him into form. That's my opinion.
I think this is a one-off game. This is the do-or-die game for the season. This is not a game where you can try, experiment, and wait and see for things to click and come together. You need to use the nuclear option. You can't be patient and give time to Berterame in the knockout round.
Hold on. I think it's hilarious that going to the formation that won us the MLS Cup is the nuclear option. And it's not that I disagree with you, but it is the nuclear option. Got to that point.
Yeah, it is the nuclear option. And I think benching Berterame for this one game because he hasn't been performing is fine. It's acceptable. This is the do or die game. You have to go back to being familiar with what you can do. And
you're not benching him. You're not starting him in this game. Yeah.
Because he's not clicking, and that's understandable. Bring him back in the MLS game. Make him adapt to the team in games that don't have as much consequence. This is not a game that you can bet your cards on without even knowing what your cards are. This is the game where you have to look at your cards and be like, okay, I'm either going to fold or I'm going to go all in. So, yeah, I know Berterame is going to come good eventually. Things are going to work out, but it's time for the nuclear option. You have to go all out against Nashville, and I would agree with you. False 9 Messi is where it's at, man. False 9 Messi is where it's at.
If that's on the table, and I think it should be, do you run it out for Charlotte? I maybe wouldn't just spring it on Nashville
No,
next
no.
week. I think you spring it on Nashville next week. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway from
That's
this game.
what I do.
Berterame is just the offense is not scoring goals with him on the field in an effective way. It is all sort of happenstance so far, or against really bad defenses. And you need to score 2-3 goals. Like, I think your mindset has to be, we need to score 2-3 goals. I know one will get you through, or could get you through, but you can't leave it to chance. If you want to win 3-0 or 3-1 or whatever, you have to be able to score 3 goals against a good organized Nashville team that is not just going to give it to you. And with the way Berterame is clicking with the team, and it's not a comment on his talent, it's not a comment on what he could be in 6 months. It's just right now in the present against DC, against Orlando City, against LAFC, and against Nashville last night. It just isn't there. And because of the way this tournament is scheduled and there's no group stage and all of the most important games happen right square from the get-go, you have to be at your top, at your best now.
I do want to be slightly measured in this and confirm something, and I hope you agree with me on this. This is not a Berterame issue. This is a coaching and a tactics issue. Berterame is a manifestation of the symptoms that we're seeing in this attack. Silvetti is not playing well. Yes, he's had a goal and an assist, but other than that, over the course of 90 minutes, he hasn't played particularly well. Allende is not playing well. Our midfield is playing well, but Messi hasn't shown up the way Messi has shown up. And that's not to say that they're in bad form. I think they're just not comfortable in the way that they have to play or in the way they're being asked to play. And I don't think the game against Nashville is the one where you give them time to embed themselves and try and figure it out. I don't think this is a Berterame issue per se. I think they're not comfortable playing with the striker, and whatever tactics they're being asked to play up front is just not working.
I'm not sure I agree with you, because I look at Silvetti and I think he's doing the things he's supposed to be doing, and it might not be coming off, or he's misplacing a pass, or he's taking a shot he shouldn't be taking, or whatever. But it's him playing his game. The thing that I'm seeing with Berterame is he's not able to play his game, or his game's not very good, which I don't think is the case. He's just not sure how to play with these players. And I think for Allende, his performance looked a lot like what we've seen plenty of times last year in the games he doesn't score. And same thing with Silvetti. Like, he is doing the things that can work for him when it works, and he's just been a little bit off the pace and has actually still found a way to contribute. Like, I do think the Berterame thing is different. But we'll talk about it more in a few minutes. And that's really it. Like, I think Inter Miami should be taking an all offense, all aggressive, all let's cut your throats out in the first minute of the game type mindset into these games. But I don't think that's Mascherano's mindset or philosophy. And it's not how this Inter Miami team has handled this tournament over the last 3 years, including when Tata Martino was in charge. So I guess that's what I think they should do, but I'm not expecting it. I'm not even asking for it, because I don't think I'm asking anyone who's paying it, who would be listening or open to it. So I don't know.
Award time. Let's go.
Okay, after every game, we give out 6 awards. Heron of the match, Heron that flew north, and 2 individual awards each. Saur, because I'm a gentleman, I will let you go first. Who was the Heron of the match in this very fun, highly entertaining, wall-to-wall action, 0-0 draw?
Dayne St. Clair. He's here. He's arrived. This is his moment. 0-0 draw, where your goalkeeper comes out on top, means that you haven't been particularly good in the game. But I thought he was flawless. Had a really good game. Made all the saves that were necessary. And I really liked his performance. Showed why he's the shot stopper that we've paid so much money to get here. That's it. I don't have anything else. I don't even think anyone else would be eligible for this. Maybe Rodrigo de Paul, maybe Yannick Bright, maybe Segovia, but none of them did enough for me to impact the game the way that Dayne St. Clair did. And in that vein, I think he deserves this. Well done to him.
Yeah, I think he's had a blunder against LAFC where he comes for the ball and it kind of goes over his head and he looks dumb in that moment. He had a shot that I'm sure he would have wanted back against Orlando City. Aside from those two moments, I think he's been really good all season, and this was his first chance to really put it all together and get the clean sheet in a big game and come up with the big moments. And so, no doubt in my mind, he was the man of the match or hand of the match. So, totally agree. I'm not worried about him at all. Like I think he's gonna be fantastic, and I think this was the first step in sort of winning everyone over.
And it almost feels like this game went in a completely different direction for him than for the rest of the team. He needed a game like this to happen. Such an important, crucial game against Nashville in a knockout round. That fills you up with confidence when you perform like that. And I'm sure it's been going on in his head as well. Inter Miami has conceded a few. He's got his first clean sheet of the season. And I think the only way from here is upwards for him. Fills him with confidence, does a world of good for him in terms of how the team feels about his comfort levels and goal. And I thought he looked like he belonged on this stage, did not look out of place. And he hasn't really looked out of place since he's come to Inter Miami. The couple of instances that you mentioned, other than that, looks like he's been here and he's ready to perform for this team and help it win trophies. So good on you, Dayne St. Clair. I thought that was a great game from him.
Yeah. I think there's a generally disappointing view of this game because we did kind of get a Nashville team that wasn't playing their best, and Inter Miami wasn't able to take advantage of it. And I think we want some lineup changes and formation changes. Like there's just things that are making us have a sour taste in our mouth about this game. And that is maybe why we're not as excited about Dayne St. Clair and how we're talking right now, if you can hear the intonation in our voices. But he was great. He was fantastic and trying to sort of bring out what he deserved. He gets a clean sheet and like was commanding the back line. There was never a moment where I thought he was going to get the ball taken from him. Like there was never a moment of doubt. He looks like the goalkeeper of the year, the guy that won the goalkeeper of the year. And so not just for this game and hopefully this tournament and a long run in this tournament, but for the whole season. Like this is the guy we get, and I still think the best is yet to come from him.
I agree.
Okay, I'm giving the heron that flew north. For those that aren't aware, Florida herons do not fly north for the winter. They don't fly anywhere for the winter. So if you catch one flying north, you caught one doing the wrong thing. And in that vein, I'm giving it to Bertarame. I watched these games back, and there's just no connection. He was a net negative on the field last night, and I know over the first couple games, he's had some defensive moments that turned into offense, and that was great, and it kind of overshadowed the lack of facilitating he's received. But without that, he is a net negative. And in this game, he could have gotten a red card, probably should have gotten a red card. Misses... Like the one big chance that we had, I do think it's deflected, but also if he's there just a step quicker, he gets an easy shot off on a wide open target. I'm not worried about Bertarame, but I will say, because I want to be real. There's a lot of new players on new teams with new teammates that are clicking already, and that includes on Inter Miami. Dayne St. Clair,
Christian Espinoza.
But
opposition team.
Just on Inter Miami. Dayne St. Clair looks like he's settled in. Micael looks like he's settled in. You know, Sergio Reguilon and David Ajala haven't gotten a single minute this year. Bertarame's played every minute of every game, and it doesn't look any better, in my opinion. So, like, we're getting to the point where it's like, why aren't we seeing anything better? It doesn't have to be goals, and it doesn't have to be goals in bunches, but there's just no connection between him and Messi, like flat out. That's my biggest takeaway from this game.
Have we just lied to our viewers blatantly?
I don't. Maybe. Why? Why?
We said we're not worried about this. We will start getting worried. You said 8 games. I said 5 games. It's not been that long. But from the sounds of it, you seem to be getting slightly worried. Now, we did a
It's
video on Berterame after the DC game recently where you mentioned that you saw a couple of things, and I agreed with you on this, where we said there were a couple of things we saw in that game where you're like, okay, yeah, if it's gonna look like something good, this is what it's gonna look like. And it gave us a little bit of a hope. So maybe we're being a little bit fickle when we say this, but I think you're right. We haven't seen the connection at all. We haven't seen the chemistry at all. We don't even know how this is going to start to look good. There's one thing that you're putting Berterame in these positions where he's unable to score the goals, where he is maybe shooting it over the top, or he's hitting it straight to the keeper, or fluffing his lines. But there's not even the runs. There's not even the passing in between. There's not even the intricate
they're not trying.
patterns of play. There's nothing. And I think there's 80%. I've increased the statistics, by the way, since yesterday evening. I said 50-50 since yesterday. Today I'm probably going to go 80-20, because 20% of the blame, maybe slightly more, lies on the team itself. I don't know if they know how to play with the striker. I don't know if they're creating enough for Berterame to get at the end of. There are a couple of opportunities where Facundo Mora had a nice cutback into the box that Berterame was able to get at the end of, but that was a corner. Well, that was a goal kick because Facundo Mora was actually out of the byline. And then a couple of other instances as well, but there's been no crossing into the box that Berterame could get at the end of, no through balls. It's just looked very disjointed. And we haven't even built the blocks yet. Hell, we haven't even shipped the blocks from wherever we want to ship them to start building the foundation. It's going to take a lot of work, and we've just got one game in hand. It's going to take a lot of work.
I just want to respond to a point in the chat. Marcos says, I'd wait a little on Berterame, look at Allende, that once you got to the playoffs, he powered up. I'll just remind you, Allende scored 4 goals in his first 5 games at Inter Miami last year. Like, he didn't take any time to get settled in. His problem was after he settled in. Maybe like that's where the Mascherano conversations can come in. The truth is, like, I think there's been some moments where other players have gotten the ball to Berterame. We've seen a couple crosses in from Facundo Mora over the course of the first 4 games. In this game, in the first half, he had a cross into Berterame that like it had just gone out of bounds and he kicked it. And so like if he's half a second earlier, he gets a cross into Berterame. But from Messi, it's just nothing. And with how dependent we are and will always be on Lionel Messi, as long as he's on this team, and he is going to be the primary creator for everything. The fact that he doesn't even look, he doesn't even try it, he's not, there's just nothing there. And it's really bad to watch. And when you start just watching it, and every time you get on the ball and you're like, man, okay, maybe there's a run there, maybe you come back for it, or like figure out a way to be involved, and it just doesn't happen at all. My concern is not whether it's going to click at all. My concern is whether it's going to click Wednesday night against Nashville in a must-win game, and that's why I mentioned going to false nine Messi, because like I don't think it's going to click by Wednesday. I don't think he's going to be good next Wednesday. I don't think he's going to score
unless he scores a hat trick against Charlotte and his confidence skyrockets. I doubt it as well.
I don't think it's a confidence thing either, but we'll come back to that in a few words. So, Heron that flew north, Berterame could have gotten a red card, probably should have gotten a red card, and he missed the team's best chance. So, Berterame. Okay, Saur, what is your first award?
My first award is the Hammer and the Needle Award.
The Hammer and the Needle Award.
It's a reference to the hammer and the anvil. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but I can explain it if it's helpful, because I don't think it'll help you.
Why don't I take my guess and then you can explain how dumb my guess was. I am going to say you're giving the Hammer and the Needle Award to Matteo Silvetti, because you're asking him to score great goals on 20 minutes, and that's just tough to do.
No, not even close. So the hammer and the anvil is actually a military tactic where you have two prongs. One prong holds the enemy in place and the other one just bashes it into the ground. That's the entire point of the tactic. And I feel like the criticism about our midfield is that it's too much of a hammer and an anvil, where the athleticism is there, where they're able to hold their own against the other midfields, where they're able to bash other midfields down just by pure physicality, strength, interceptions, athleticism. And what the criticism has been is that they're missing the creativity. I disagree, and that's why I labeled it the hammer and the needle, because I think there's a certain intricacy within Rodrigo de Paul's play that is being overlooked because we're not scoring the goals. And Rodrigo de Paul is the perfect manifestation of being a hammer when he needs to and being the needle and threading those balls and creating those beautiful patterns of play when he needs to. There were a couple of comments yesterday in our Raw reaction that mentioned that there's no creativity in the midfield. I think the midfield is doing exactly what they need to do to get the ball up until the final third. After that, it's the responsibility of their front line to actually get the ball into the back of the net. There were balls that Rodrigo de Paul put over the top that Allende didn't get to the end of, that Facundo Mora let loose. There were really good through ball opportunities that he's been creating over the last few games. And I think, generally speaking, the creative outlet that this Yannick Bright, Rodrigo de Paul combination has offered is actually really, really impressive and better than I expected it to be. They've been let down by the front line. And this is maybe less about his performance yesterday, which I thought was once again very, very good. And a lot of the good opportunities that came were through Rodrigo de Paul, and more about the conversations around the creative element of our midfield, which I think are slightly misrepresentative. But again, great performance from Rodrigo de Paul, did the job of the hammer and has been doing the job of the needle as well, putting the through balls in, creating those opportunities. And that's why I wanted to give him that award. Very proud of it. Thank you.
Fantastic award. I don't think I couldn't have said it any better myself. And you know how highly I think of my ability to word things. Fantastic job.
Thank you.
They've exceeded expectations, I think, across the board for what they've been able to bring, getting the ball forward and ball progression. I don't have an award for Yannick Bright, so throw him in there as well. But the reason this team doesn't look like it has the level of creativity that we expect, I have an award that we're going to get to. So
Okay.
I'm going to hold the conversation. Great award. He was great again, deserving of praise. Fantastic. He's been so good, man. Aside from those two mistakes, he's been so good.
I think he's been fantastic. I'll be interested to see how many goals Intimami scored at this stage last season, like at 6 game or 4 games mark.
I can tell you. Through 4 games, they had scored. Oh, you don't want to know.
At this point,
they scored 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's 10 goals in 4 games. But one of those games, the game they scored 1 goal, was that 28-degree freezing temperature game in Kansas City. Where, so that one, I don't even know if that counts. They were averaging otherwise 3 goals per game at that point. Damn. And that was with the ultra defensive Mascherano style that we had last year. So, okay. My first award, and I apologize for spoiling it, and you're probably going to get this off the bat, but it was so creative I just couldn't help myself. I'm giving the Altoids Award.
The Altoids Award goes to... Oh, I forgot. Because you used this reference, I forgot. It has something to do with stinky breath and being and popping in an Altoid and feeling good about it. Micael? I think
it is Micael. We talked about this yesterday after the Raw reaction.
I genuinely forgot. I froze there for a second.
He had a moment in the first half where I didn't write down the moment, the minutes. I don't want to say, but it was first half, and he just has a pass to Dayne St. Clair, and he just leaves it short, and Sam Surge is in a position to intercept it and then put it in the way of Christian Espinosa, and that would have been their best opportunity. And Sam Surge kind of fumbles it, hits it off his back leg, and it goes out of bounds, and it's no problem. Other than that, I thought he was really good. And so he needs to go take a pack of Altoids and have everyone eat one of his pack of Altoids, because everyone was left with a bad taste in their mouth after that moment. So take your Altoid, feel better about the taste in your mouth, and you will appreciate how good he was in that game. Speaking of another player that has really, I think, grown over the course of the season, has like gotten comfortable on this back line, had to do it with a new partner. We've talked a lot about Maxi Falcone and Micael trying to figure it out together. He had to do it with Gonzalo Lujan. And he's just like there often. And it is weird when you rewatch it, because there are just moments where he just understands where the cutback is going to be on a cross into the box, especially low and hard crosses. He just recognizes where the danger is coming from, and he gets himself in a position to clear it. And it's subtle, and it doesn't feel like a significant moment as it happens. But the fact that he's doing it over and over and over again is clearly like he sees the danger coming and he gets himself in the way. So, I think he's been really good so far I think he's gotten better over the course of the season. I thought he was really good in this game. Aside from that one moment, everyone just takes their Altoid and, gets a better taste in their mouth, and they will really appreciate Micael in this game.
I think there's something to be said about the fact that this team is not performing particularly well. Because if they were, and if we were winning the way we're used to winning, we would be very, very high on Micael. His performances have not just been, they've been quietly exceptional in some instances. It's so interesting because this player looks like he's been on this team for the last 5 years, and he knows exactly how this team works, and he knows exactly how this team plays. Just quietly goes about his business, cleans things up, as you said, in the box. His box defending is fantastic. He looks like the most experienced centre-back in this squad. And it's almost the complete opposite of what we're seeing on the other side of the pitch with Berterame, where he looks lost. On this side of the pitch with Micael, I think we look a lot more confident, ready. Now that Dayne St. Clair is coming to his own, I think that partnership is really going to start to build up. And he's not been perturbed by having multiple partners to play with. Lujan, Maxi Falcone. I'm not sure if he's played yet with Noah Allen, but he's the rock that's holding this all together. And when he has those old Altoids, at least he's a rock that has a good breath when he's holding it all together.
Well, listen, I mentioned Dayne St. Clair had those 2 mistakes early in the season. I think had a lot of people really frustrated, but was otherwise very good. Now we have Micael, I think, getting to that point where it's just one moment that is keeping you from having an absolutely excellent game. And
he would have changed our lives if we were winning right now.
This particular moment did not cost the team in any significant way. So I don't think it's worth holding against him too strongly. And I thought otherwise he was really, really good. So Micael, you get the Altoids, and you should pass them out to all the haters. Okay, what is your next award?
My next award, this is such a poignant award as well, because we've sort of touched on this conversation, and maybe we can take it a step further, is the Hickory Dickory Dock Award.
I don't understand the reference.
Oh.
So I'm just going blind here.
Wait, okay. Let me complete this. The Hickory Dickory Dock is a nursery rhyme. I don't know if you've heard this. The Hickory Dickory Dock, the mouse went up the clock. I don't know if that helps, but that's all I can tell you.
This is Noah Allen, because he's getting up the field, and he's the most mouse-like player on the team.
Not really. Not even close. This goes to Messi.
Go ahead.
Do you get the reference?
No.
But I might have stolen your award.
You stole my award. It's okay, because I don't care about my award. I care about this conversation.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hickory Dickory Dock. The mouse goes up the clock. The closer the mouse goes up to the clock, the time runs out. And time is running out. The clock is ticking, and Intimami needs to figure this out. You've touched upon this when you said that you play Messi false 9 on Wednesday. I would 100% agree with you. We don't have the time, man. We don't have the time. And as much as the onus is on Berterame to be good and to start scoring goals, Messi's our captain and he needs to figure this out as quickly as possible. And by figure this out, I mean, if it means benching Berterame, bench Berterame. He will have the final say on that, absolutely. I think time is definitely out on Wednesday because we don't have the luxury of patience anymore. And I think Lionel Messi won't, as great as he is at this sport, I do not think he's going to be able to figure it out before Wednesday. So for me, the time is running out and you have to take a call. You have to take a call on the attack. And it starts with Messi's decision.
CONCACAF Champions Cup is an inflection point. This is where Messi is supposed to be great. And it's fine to be great. I mean, it's great to be, it's a lot of fun when he scores 4 goals against, or, has 4 goal contributions against the New England Revolution. But this is trophy time. This is winning time. This is what this is all about. I mentioned a ridiculously high salary, which granted, I'm sure Messi could get much higher in other parts of the world. But just to give you the idea of he's making 10 times as much as the next highest paid player on this team, who's, by the way, making 10 times as much as the 5th highest paid player on this team. Here's my real question, and this is my whole conversation. This is the only thing I've wanted to talk about this whole episode. What is Messi's responsibility for Berterame on the field? Because we keep talking about Berterame as if he's the guy who has to figure this out. And it's a connection. It's a two-way street. And the reason Pep is talking about finding creativity in the chat and we need a creative midfielder and all these other things, and why people are talking about the fullbacks not being creative enough, and why we're talking about the midfield not being creative enough, and all of this is because the biggest creator on this team, and by the way, probably to this minute on the planet, certainly in the Western Hemisphere, certainly in this tournament, certainly in this league, is Lionel Messi, and he has no one to be creative to. I am fine and more than willing to say that the majority of this goes on Berterame to figure out where he needs to be, because I trust Messi to be putting it where it needs to go. And if he doesn't think Berterame is doing the right thing, I trust Messi on that. But he has 7 days between games to go to Berterame in the film room on the practice training ground and say, I need you to do this over and over and over again, and I will get it to you. But you have to do this over and over and over again. And the idea that from game to game, they rewatch the film and they go on the training ground and it's just nothing is happening to try and get this fixed. And that's why it looks the same. And it's just Berterame having to figure it out in the 90 minutes we get to watch is silly. They have to be trying to figure this out. And if they're not, then that is a bigger problem. I don't believe that they're not. But the fact that they've now spent over a month working to make this work, and it still doesn't, I think you have to start wondering, what is the responsibility of your creator to actually find creative ways to make this happen? And again, maybe Berterame is doing all the wrong things. And if that's the case, now we are talking about benching him again. And if it's not that he's doing all the wrong things and it's that we're not pushing his buttons enough to try and get him going, then that's another conversation also. What is Messi's responsibility for the fact that we are not creating a ton of offense, a ton of shots, a ton of opportunities, and our striker is not getting the ball in dangerous spots ever? I'm going to continue this thought with my next award. So I will ask you that question. But if Messi doesn't feel like Berterame is aiding his ability to impact games, the answer is to take Berterame off the field until you figure it out. there is no reason to throw him out there if Messi is not going to try and get him to score goals as like the finisher for his creativity. And right now he has no one to finish his creativity, so he's not even being ultra creative. We are not, I don't think, talking about degrees of perfection, which is so often our conversation with Messi. It's like, how do we open up just a little bit of space here, and you put the left winger or Jordi Alba on the left? Like, it just opens up a little bit of space that Messi can take advantage of. This thing with Berterame is not degrees off. It is tiers off. It is just not, there's just nothing there to grab onto. And so it's not me saying Messi's a bad player or he can't figure it out or whatever, but it's like he can't be his creative best if the striker that he's part of his game. And the response that I think in must-win games like next Wednesday is to just not play that striker, because you need Messi to be at his creative best.
This is like a rhetorical question, but imagine a scenario where Javier Mascherano decides to change the formation or personnel on Wednesday, and he puts Suarez on instead of Berterame. What's the next?
I would
award?
understand it. No, I would understand it. Like,
I don't think that's the solution, though.
it's not what I would do. It's not what I want to be very clear. As much as I think Suarez is way overhated, it's not what I would do. It would not surprise me because the lack of creativity is stunning, and it's because Messi doesn't have anyone to go to. And I'm surprised that we've ended up at this position, really.
All right, bring it home, Scotty.
My last award, and I'm not proud of this, and I'm not even particularly interested in having this conversation, but you stole my Lionel Messi award. I'm giving the Biblical Scapegoat Award.
The Biblical Scapegoat Award is
Escape.
Noah Allen.
Escapegoat.
It's Scapegoat. It is obviously Noah Allen because he's the only player on this pitch who has a name that is a biblical reference. And I'm guessing there was no scapegoat on Noah's Ark, because if there was, then... But the biblical scapegoat has to be Noah Allen, of course. I don't know why, but it has to be Noah Allen.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
It is Noah Allen. Not proud of this award, but I looked up the origin of scapegoat, and it comes from a biblical translation from Hebrew to English, where they said a scapegoat, and it's the guy the goat that gets sacrificed when it's not necessary. He's been a scapegoat, and it's this conversation about Messi, but I think people are just looking for reasons why we're not being more creative, and they don't want to look at Messi. So they're looking at all the other things that are going wrong. The same thing, I think the same award could go to Facundo Mora. The same award could go to Rodrigo de Paul. The same award could go to Segovia. The same award could go to Yannick Bright. Like, I just think Noah Allen's gotten the most egregious hate for this. The team is
I think
not
it was good
being,
yesterday.
The team is not being creative. And yes, having a really attacking left back that will fill in the empty space and then hit quality crossbacks would help be creative. Those are the degrees of perfection that I was just talking about. And putting Sergio Reguilon on will probably help. Like, I'm expecting it to be better with Sergio Reguilon.
But I'll probably bet that it doesn't look that much better. He's not going to be the solution to it.
If you don't get Messi and Berterame on the same page, it's not gonna make that much of a difference. We're talking about degrees here. It's the same thing on the right with Facundo Mora. Like, yes, he can get forward, and there were some opportunities yesterday to take up space, and he wasn't able to get on the end of balls, and so Inter wasn't able to create anything. But this team is not going to be great if Messi isn't at his creative best. And he can't be at his creative best if he has no one to actually provide service to. It's not going to be Noah Allen. Like, it's just not going to be Noah Allen. And that's okay. It's not going to be Facundo Mora. It's not going to be Ian Frey. It's not going to be Yannick Bright. It's rarely going to be Rodrigo de Paul. It's going to be Silvetti, who I think he's gotten some results from. It's going to be Tadeo Allende, who is, again, a volume shooter, needs to play a lot of minutes to get his goals, but the goals will come. And it's going to be the striker. And so I'm really sick of people saying the problem is Noah Allen. And even if you think Noah Allen hasn't played particularly well, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't have any problem with anyone saying Noah Allen hasn't played well this season. If you think he's the reason this team hasn't looked great, you're just looking for an excuse to not look at the best player on this team. And I hope they figure it out. And they have the talent. Of course they have the talent to figure it out. So it's just figuring it out, which is probably
they just need to figure it out in time. That's all.
Anything else?
I'm going to go to bed and just wake up on Wednesday. And hopefully this team would have figured it out by then. That's what I'm going to do.
Quickly, Charlotte, this weekend, what I would do is I would play David Ajala, who I am really excited to see.
Same.
I would, if Maxi Falcone is not healthy, I would play Lujan and Micael together to get them some run time. Or I would consider putting Noah Allen and Micael together to see if that works.
I would also play Sergio Reguilon, give him minutes.
I'm not sure what his fitness is. So if he's only able to play 30 minutes, but if he's able to play at least a half, I would start him as well.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think we're going to go out with the same 11. Or maybe Silvetti goes in. Like, I think Mascherano is going to go with his...
There's going to be like 1 or 2 changes, but 99.9% we're going to go with the 11 that we play on Wednesday. At least we'll win against Charlotte, right? We can't lose that game.
I don't think the Charlotte game matters at all, right?
That'll be a fun pregame episode, guys. Join us then.
Well, it could be really fun.
All eyes on Wednesday.
If we get David Ajala and if we get, all these new names.
Yeah, I'll be excited to watch that game. Yeah.
Okay, guys. That's all I got. Anything else?
Oh, we finally made it to the hour mark. I thought we were going to be less than that, but we managed to get to 1 hour.
No, like the thing about this game is it's all in the context of what happens over the course of both games. And so if they win next week 3-0 and they look great, then this game is fine. Like this game was fine. They got a road draw against a good Nashville team. Like it's in the rain on a Wednesday night. Like it was fine. If they win next week. And so we'll see. We'll see. And I think they will. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Okay, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Hope you have a lovely night. And Charlotte on Saturday. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part